Hi everyone, my name is Atia. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing my March wrap up where I talk about all of the books I read during March. So it is a total of 16 books that are right next to me, and we're going to start with what I read at the beginning of the month and work our way down to what I read at the end of the month. But before I do that, let me give you some stats about my reading this month. So in terms of genre, I read 7 fantasy, 1 sci-fi, 4 contemporary, 1 romance, 1 mystery thriller, 1 historical fiction, okay, and 1 non-fiction. I gave 2 books 5 stars, 2 books 4.5 stars, 8 books 4 stars, 2 books 3.5 stars, and 2 books 3 stars. And 4 of the books were adult, 9 of them were young adult, 3 were middle grade, and I read a total of 5,650 pages. I've been doing pretty well these past couple months. I'm very proud of my reading stats. There was a point in the month where I was at risk of like diving into a reading slump because I was trying so hard to stick to my predetermined really ambitious TBR, which now that I've tried a really ambitious TBR, I've decided that they're not for me. So I'll still do TBRs. Ooh, ice cream truck. I'll still do TBRs, but they're not going to be nearly as huge as what my March TBR was. That was absolutely insane. But yeah, I was able to come out of it with some really nice, fluffy, interesting books. So before we jump into the books that I read and enjoyed, we're going to start with the book that I DNF'd. This was actually a TBR jar pick, and this is Brick Girl Panties by Stephanie Ivanovich. This, I got like 8 pages in and I was like, I can't do it. It was just a lot of fat phobia in those first 8 pages, which I didn't even know was possible. And even in the beginning of the book, it was everything that I didn't want it to be, which is what I said in my TBR jar video. And it just wasn't great, and the writing wasn't good enough for me to want to continue to see if it changed. And so I was just like, bleh, and I will be unhauling this. So yeah, which sucks because I really did enjoy the other book I read by Stephanie Ivanovich, The Sweet Spot, but this, it wasn't working for me. So yeah, now let's jump into the books that I actually read. First up, we have Piecing Me Together by Renee Watson. This follows a young black girl who is in a predominantly white school. She's been told her whole life that in order to make it out of her neighborhood, she needs to be the best, the smartest, she needs to take all these resources, and she's kind of just feeling like she wants to not get something because everyone feels bad for her and takes pity on her, but she wants to earn something because of her brains, because that is why she's in school. She ends up being kind of forced to sign up for this mentorship program in order to qualify for a scholarship, and she gains a mentor through that. This black woman who went to the school that she's currently attending, and it's kind of just her journey and learning like who she is, what she wants, and kind of sifting through what everyone keeps telling her she has to be in order to make it out, and what she thinks she has to be in order to make it out. And I ended up really enjoying this, and I gave it a 4.5 stars. Next up, we have The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. Yes, I finally jumped on the train and I finally read the book. This was really good. This is better than I expected it. I'm glad I read it without the hype. I mean, it's still a hyped book, especially since the sequel came out in January, but I kind of read it after the hype had already passed. And this follows Jude. She is a human. She lives in the land of Fae with her twin sister and her older sister, who's like half human, half Fae. And it's just a really cruel world, and Jude is trying to learn how to manage it and kind of find her way through this court, make a name for herself so that she can be respected. And there's a lot of growth, there's a lot of character development, there is a lot of cruelty, you know? The word cruel isn't just there to be there, there is a lot of cruelty. But I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I read it faster than I thought I would, and I'm currently I currently just started The Wicked King, so I'm excited to see how Jude's journey continues. And I gave this beautiful, beautiful book 4 stars. Next up, we have Well Read Black Girl, which is edited by Gloria Edom. This is a collection, it's an anthology. This is a collection of essays by black women writers writing about what books and writing did for them and helped them. As you can see, I tabbed it up. I really enjoy specific stories in here, but what I also really enjoyed was the fact that there's like lists of recommendations. So there's this one that's like well-read black girl selections 2015 to 2018. There's well-read black girl recommends classic novels by black women, books on black feminism, books about black girlhood and friendship, science fiction and fantasy books by black women. So I just really, that made me really excited, and it's nice because it kind of acts as a reference book too. So you can go in and, like, if you really want to bulk up your library of books by black women, then this book kind of helps with that. So that is awesome as well. And I gave this one a solid 4 stars. Next up, we have Siege and Storm by Leigh Bardugo. This is the second book in the Shadow and, well, in the Grishaverse, I guess you can call it. And I really enjoyed this one. I read Shadow and Bone in February, and it basically follows this girl named Alina. She's a soldier, and there are these people called the Grisha who have these abilities, and it's uncovered that Alina has this ability, and she's kind of taken and kind of groomed to help the kingdom or whatever. That's really all I can say without spoiling it, and I can't really talk much about this one, but this one was so much better. I think I initially gave Shadow and Bone 4 stars, and I believe I went back to my rating and gave it like a 3.5. I don't even know. But if you read Shadow and Bone and you're like, I don't know if I can continue, I would highly recommend continuing only just to read this book. I have yet to read the 3rd book. I'm hoping it's even better than this one. I gave this one a 5 stars. The character development for some of the side characters is excellent, particularly the character of that's a spoiler. There's just great character development. The writing's better. The plot moves a lot quicker, I feel like, than it does in Shadow and Bone. I just thoroughly enjoyed this. I'm looking forward to reading the 3rd book and seeing if, you know, it even compares to this one. I'm obviously going to run out of room back there in a few books, but it's okay. Next up, we have An Anonymous Girl by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. This is the author duo who wrote The Wife Between Us, but this is, like, not at all related, if you will. Like, it's not a sequel or anything. It's just a totally standalone novel. So there's this girl who signs up for this morality test and with this psychologist, and it kind of just takes a lot of twists and turns, and it gets a lot darker than you think it will. I give this a 3.5 stars. And as I think about it, it might be a 3. I don't know. The ending was a bit lackluster. It was a bit of a cop-out. I wanted more from the 2 main characters. I don't know, I just wanted more. I wanted more from this book. I expected more from this book, simply because I know how their writing works in The Wife Between Us. I didn't want The Wife Between Us again. I just wanted that same caliber of writing, and I felt like I didn't get it. And it was slow for a lot of the book, and there's a lot of build up that's not really built. I don't even know how to say it. I wanted more from this. I wanted a lot more from this, and it just didn't deliver in the way that I wanted it to. So yeah. Next up, we have Arusha and the End of Time by Roshani Chokshi. This is the first in a middle grade fantasy series. It follows Aru, who is known for being a little bit of a liar, and she lies to try and fit in, but her mother is she runs this Indian cultural, Museum of Ancient Indian Art and Culture that her mother curates, and she unleashes this spirit who wants to unleash this, like, is it a demon? Who is it? Yeah, who wants to awaken the god of destruction. And so she finds out that she is a reincarnation of one of the Pandava brothers, and it's about her and her, like, I guess called sister, and their, like, really trusty pigeon sidekick trying to save the world. I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would, and I'm really excited to continue. The sequel actually comes out this month on either April 23rd or April 30th, I'm not sure, but I will definitely be pre-ordering it so that I can have it on release day. and I gave this one a 4 stars. Next up, we have Witch Part 1, Volume 2. Like I keep saying, love this series. This continues along with the 5 girls who are Guardians of the Veil. They have these elemental abilities, and they are trying to save Meridian from this evil monarch, while also trying to save one of their best friends. And it's just amazing and lovely and awesome. And I gave it a 4 stars. So like I said, running out of room, so we're gonna condense these and get ready for the next set of books. Next up, we have My Favorite Half Night Stand by Christina Lauren. This follows Millie and Reed. They're part of this group of best friends. Millie is the only girl in the group, and the whole group, they decide they're going to do online dating to find dates for this event. And Millie ends up making this fake profile after her best friends kind of get on her about the profile she currently has. And so she makes this fake profile. She ends up matching with Reed, who's kind of like, they're all best friends, but the two of them are like really good best friends, like the best of the best friends. And they kind of fall for each other, even though she's catfishing him. And it's just interesting. It's an interesting time, because while they're like falling for each other in the interwebs, they're also trying to ignore their feelings in real life. And I just really thoroughly enjoyed this, and I gave it a 4.5 stars. I will say this is also my first Christina Lauren book, and I really enjoyed it, and now I just want to binge read everything that they've ever written, and you will hear about that in my April wrap-up as well. Next, we have Binti by Nindi Okorafor. I believe that's how you pronounce her name. And this follows Binti. She comes from this planet and this people that don't travel, and they don't really go outside of their community. But Binti really wants to go to this school on another planet, and so she applies, gets in, and goes to make the journey, leaving behind her family. But some things happen, and there's the Meduse, which is this alien race that the people have been kind of at war with. And so Binti now has this responsibility of communicating with them through some interesting unforeseen circumstances, and I gave this a 3.5 stars. Oh, it's also a novella if you couldn't tell. It is a trilogy. So yeah. Next we have Bloom by Kevin Panetta and Savannah Gano, I believe, and this follows Ari. He's just graduated high school. He wants to move to New York City, or he wants to move someplace with his band, but his parents run this bakery that's not really doing so well, and they need him to stay at home, but he doesn't. So he concocts this plan to hire another baker to take his place, and they end up falling in love. It's a male-male romance. It's super cute. I wanted more from it a little bit, and I found Ari to be a really annoying character, which kind of, I don't know. I give this a 3 stars. I don't know, I just wanted more from it. It's cute though, and the artwork is amazing, and it's like blue tones, and it's really beautiful, beautiful, beautiful artwork. The guy that Ari's into, Hector, really sweet. Really enjoyed Hector's character. It was just Ari where I was like, you kind of suck as a person. So yeah. Next we have If You Come Softly by Jacqueline Woodson. This follows, it's set in the 90s. This follows, what's his name? Jeremiah. This follows Jeremiah and Ellie. Yikes. Jeremiah is black, Ellie is Jewish. They form this relationship, and it's kind of about them finding each other and just exploring like what does their relationship mean, especially in context, how to deal with that. It was really heartbreaking and really amazing, and just so good. And I ended up giving, oh my goodness, I ended up giving this a 4 stars. My books are attacking me apparently. Alright, 5 more to go. So next up we have Dragon Pearl by Yoon Ha Lee. This is a middle grade fantasy book. It follows, what is her name? Min. Her people are fox spirits, so they can shapeshift. They have some sort of magical abilities, and they can charm people and kind of manipulate the not the atmosphere, but the luck around them. And they are in hiding, her people, because other supernatural people or other supernatural beings and humans do not trust fox spirit, so there's a lot of discrimination and prejudice. Her brother goes off and he joins the Space Forces, and the family is told that he deserted in order to find this thing called the Dragon Pearl. Min doesn't believe this. She's like, there's no way my brother would just desert because he's always wanted to join the Space Forces. This makes no sense. And so she goes kind of on this quest essentially to find out what happened to her brother, where is her brother, and also trying to find and locate the Dragon Pearl, thinking that if she locates the Dragon Pearl, maybe she'll be able to locate her brother as well. There's a lot of world building in this. It reads on the upper scale of middle grade, I will say that. I really enjoyed the writing, I really enjoyed the characters, and just the journey as well. Like this, it's like a short-ish book, but it doesn't feel as short as it is. It's like 310 pages, but it feels like more than 310 pages, and not in a bad way at all. And I ended up giving this a 4 stars. Next up, we have a slightly new release because it came out in like January, February, but it is A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer, and this is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, which I love Beauty and the Beast. You tell me that something is a Beauty and the Beast retelling and I'm automatically going to buy it. That's just how my brain works. So you have Prince Ren, who is cursed. He is the crown prince of Emberfall, and every season, or like he goes a season and he's been cursed by this sorceress. He has to try and woo a woman to fall in love with him, or at the end of the season he'll turn into this huge beast for like, 6 weeks and go around trying to kill everybody. And this keeps happening because women just aren't falling in love with him. And then you have, it's amazing how you can read a book and love it and then just forget everybody's name. And then you have Harper, who's from our world, and she has cerebral palsy, so there's rep for that as well. Her brother is up to some shady stuff. Her mother is not well. Her dad is who knows where, and she's just trying to make it and live her life. She witnesses a girl being taken to the land of Emberfall, and she kind of misinterprets the situation, and because of that she ends up being the one to go to Emberfall, and her and Ren kind of, the Beauty and the Beast story, you can kind of guess where it goes. There's a lot more to it as well. There's a lot of world building, there's a lot of character development, there's a really interesting twist at the very end of the book that is unexpected, and I am highly looking forward to the second book in this series, and I gave this book a 4 stars. Next up, we have a book that everybody and the mother has been talking about, and that is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is my first Taylor Jenkins Reid book, and I was a little hesitant making this my first one because I knew the format was wildly different from anything she's ever done, but a lot of people were recommending listening to it on audiobook, and I don't usually like audiobooks, so I was like, you know what, let me try and see. And so I did, and the audiobook is amazing. The format of the story is this kind of oral history, so it's told through these spliced up and put together interviews, and the audiobook is fully cast. So every person in this book who has lines is voiced by a different person, and that really added to the world and the atmosphere of it. The storytelling is immaculate. Even if you're not someone who likes audiobooks, which is, me, I'm kind of like meh towards them. If you want to read this book, I would highly recommend the audiobook, and I listened to the audiobook and read along with it. And I found that just for me, I couldn't really read the book without the audiobook, and I couldn't listen to the audiobook without reading it, but that was just me. And yeah, it's historical fiction. It tells a story of this band in the 70s that kind of like rises to fame and then all of a sudden it breaks up. And this going into it, and throughout the whole story and the whole book, you're finding out what happened to lead to this, and it's so well crafted. It's now one of my favorite books. I gave it 5 stars, and I'm very interested to read more of Taylor Jenkins Reid's books. I was already interested in them, but this one kind of just like propelled me to want to read more by her. Next, we have Under Rose-Tinted Skies by Louise Gournall. This follows a girl who deals with OCD, paranoia, and depression as well. She doesn't leave her house unless she is going to therapy, and even that is like a big ordeal, but she doesn't leave her house. She ends up meeting the boy next door, and they end up developing this friendship and blah 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 blah. You can kind of tell where it goes. I found this to be his own voices, by the way, so the author deals with OCD and paranoia and depression herself. I found the plot to be a little like, why am I reading, in a sense, in terms of it fell into that trap contemporary can fall into where there's no actual plot, like no hardened like plot, you know what I mean? I will say there's a twist at the end that is kind of comes out of nowhere in a good way, and I enjoyed the writing, I enjoyed the characters, but I was kind of reading and I was like, okay, so what are we building up to? And I ended up giving this a 3 stars. The last book that I read during the month of March is something I'm super excited about because it means that I finished a series that I've been reading since January, and that is, of course, Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare. This is the 3rd and final book in the Dark Artifices trilogy. This was glorious. This is everything. This is also a heavy book. This is everything I needed it to be. It's everything I wanted it to be. I feel like every time I talk about this series, I gush about how much she's just an amazing writer, an amazing story builder, world builder, but also just the relationship between characters, whether that's romantic or friendship or sibling relationships. There's just so much. I find that is one of her strongest writing skills, is crafting character relationships that you get so invested in, and crafting these very different, very dynamic characters, because it's a whole cast of people in here. There's so many different characters that you follow at once, and they're all so different, and they're also unique in their own ways, and I just really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed the conclusion. I'm a little sad to see, you know, to say wave goodbye to this part of the Shadowhunter universe, but I am interested to read on, and I'm glad that I jumped back into the Shadowhunter world after not reading it for so many years and just falling back in love with it. And I gave this a 4 stars. But yeah, if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Comment down below, what did you read in the month of March that either surprised you in a good way or a bad way? What are you hoping to read in the months going forward? Make sure you share this with all of your book loving friends. Make sure that you are subscribed as well, and that you hit the notification bell so that you are notified every time I post a new video. Check me out on all my social media, including my Goodreads, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.